I haven't added proper hashtags. Is it worthwhile to go back and add them now as a comment?
I wouldn't, because I think that there, if I remember right, there was a time where that worked. There was a time where you went back to an old post and added hashtags, and then it came up in the search. But because those images have already posted, putting the hashtags on now doesn't repost them. So you'd be better off to just go take that old photo, repost it, and add you just copy and paste what you put before. I will routinely share photos I shared 6 months or a year ago, again, because it's really based on who's on Instagram that day, so people will see it for the first time that never saw it before. So I would just repost them, add new hashtags, and you're good to go.
Awesome. That's good advice. Someone's asking, what do you use for backing up your photos? What website?
It's called Backblaze, BACKBLAZE.com. They're great. I just want to give you a heads up though, because it's cheap. It's $5 a month, unlimited. It takes forever for the first one to go. Like it could be a month or 6 weeks until all of your images are up there. So what I recommend is don't look at the upload speed. Don't look at and see what the because it adds a little bar to your thing. Don't go look and say, I wonder how much. It's probably halfway done. You look and it's like 12%. You're like, what? Just let it run, and then in 6 weeks or a month, well, it depends on how many images, of course. It's just the initial upload is very slow, but you're always backed up after that. You always got this third leg you can stand on, this knowing that all your images are in the cloud backed up.
If you do sky replacements or that reflection technique and you're going to sell that photo, do you have to say that it's fine art instead of a photograph?
Well, you're not doing journalism. You can do whatever you want. It's all art. You don't have to say it's anything. You don't have to disclaim it unless you're working for a magazine or a newspaper. If you're doing the job of a journalist, where you are on assignment and you're trying to show a particular thing as it was for news purposes, it better be real. There actually are things that you can do even to journalistic images, right? So I had to go by the journalistic code when I upload images to the news wire service that I shoot for. It's a sports wire service. So, but I can still add contrast, and I can add sharpening, and I can change the white balance, and I can do things that make the image look more like it really looked to the naked eye. But I can't do things that make it look any different than it actually did look. In other words, I can make it look more like real life, not less like real life. But it's a very limited number of things you can do, very, very limited. But if you're selling to a gallery, you're selling prints or whatever, it's all art. If you're not shooting for a newspaper or a magazine, it's art. Moving on.
Can you sell from a Spark page or just show images?
It's just an image storytelling thing. Now, what you could do is put a link on a Spark page and say, if you want to buy this, click this link, and then send them over to SmugMug or wherever you want. Send them to your house. Email me to buy this image. You could certainly do that on a Spark page, but a Spark page is not set up with credit cards or any of that other stuff.
That's a good idea. What type of photography sells best or is most popular? Is it landscape photography, or does it have to be travel?
Oh, you mean for Instagram?
She's asking what sells best.
Oh, what sells best?
Maybe, on Instagram that could be one way to go about it.
Well, yeah, like on it's weird because like on stock photography, shots of people sell the best. The reason why people shots sell the best are, let's say that you went and posted a photo of Yosemite. Chances are there's better photos than you took up there. I'm not saying anything about you personally, but I'm just saying that there's already 5,000 images of Yosemite up there, and someone was probably there on the perfect morning with the perfect sky, with everything perfect, and it's for sale for $1. Yours has to be at least that good for someone to choose yours. In other words, you're shooting the same place everybody else is shooting, but every single person is different. And the guys that I've talked to that are being successful, or the people I've talked to that are being really successful, they're like, at the end of the day, it's people. You can shoot anybody. They don't have to be models. They don't have to be awesome, but everybody needs shots of everybody, and everybody's unique, and you never know what they want the shots for what kind of campaign or what kind of social media or whatever it is. Shoot people, everyone's different and unique. Even the same person in different outfits is different and unique. So that's what I would say is a really good for stock photography.
This comes from Ron, and he's asking, I keep telling myself that photography is Oh, sorry, it just changed. Someone bumped in. Cameras have their own sweet spot for focus, like my 90D being an f5. How far apart is this from your recommended f11?
So f11 is based on depth. It is a fairly sharp f-stop on all lenses, but it's based on depth. So at f5, your mountains in the background are going to be out of focus. They're just not going to be sharp. Even though that may be the sharpest, which I'm really surprised, by the way, that f5 is the sharpest. It's very unusual because it's usually like f8 or higher. But in fact, we're going to talk about that a little later today in the sharpness thing. But all that aside, f5 is not going to get you the depth that you want. It's a sharp f-stop on your camera, but it's not the one that's going to make your landscapes look best.
Tammy says, I keep telling myself that photography is an overloaded profession. Too many people do it and are better than me. What should I be thinking to propel me into selling my prints and that my prints can sell? Well, because people are, you have to get out of the mindset. And so, Tammy, you're doing that thing where you're looking at it like, oh, there's other photographers better than me. Let me ask you a question. You saw the images I showed you. Are there other photographers better than them? But they all sold those images. That was like $10,000 worth of sales on one page. And you could say, I don't think any of those photographers would be your photography heroes. Don't go by, are there better photographers than me out there? Because you don't know what people are looking for. They're looking for the image that looks great in their kitchen, or in their family room, or in their office, or above their den, or the fireplace. You got to get that out of your mind. Tammy, you're looking at it like a photographer. Look at it like a consumer. You probably have images that somebody would love to have hanging on their wall. Next question. Hi, Scott. For your Lightroom and Photoshop editing, do you use a mouse, Loop Deck, Wacom tablet, or other? I'm looking for recommendations beyond just the mouse.
Okay, well, I don't use a mouse at all. I use a trackpad. The computer that you see in front of me is my main photography computer. At home, I do have an iMac, but I don't really use it that much for editing. However, if I'm going to do retouching, actual retouching, like, okay, I got to retouch a portrait, I'm pulling out my Wacom tablet. Hands down. I will tell you this, I'll give you a hint. All right, if you're thinking about getting a Wacom tablet, get the small. Get the small. Don't get the medium, and don't get the large. Get the small. The small is the best one. It's the greatest. Save the money, get the small. Okay, there you go.
When doing long exposures in bulb mode for 2 minutes or longer, it takes almost the same time to process the photo. Is this common between all camera brands and models?
You've got something turned on in your camera that you need to turn off immediately. You have long exposure noise reduction turned on. Go turn that crap off. It's crap and it takes twice as long. So that's what it is. You have that feature turned on, go turn it off. Blech. It's a bad feature. And it takes twice as long. That's mostly why. But it's not good anyway. It doesn't do a good job either way.
That might be worth the conference just for itself. Now
right.
that person's going to be
right.
able to take so many pictures so much quicker.
Yeah, there you go.
How has your workflow evolved with the improvements in Lightroom Develop module, i.e. the choice between doing it in Lightroom versus Photoshop? Do you use the same workflow whether you are shooting travel, sports, or studio?
Yeah, I use the same workflow, and it's mostly Lightroom. I would say it's 80% or 85% Lightroom. I only go to Photoshop when there's something that I can't do in Lightroom, and they keep adding so many things to Lightroom that I have to go to Photoshop less and less. But I still have to go to, there's some things that you just got to go to Photoshop for. Focus stacking. You'll see more things today as we go on that you realize, yeah, that's a Photoshop only thing. So, yeah, I still spend my workflow is very heavily Lightroom with a side of Photoshop.
It's going to be time to take our lunch break soon, but we'll do one more. Scott, when you send your images to a lab to have them printed, they usually offer the option of color correcting them. What are your thoughts on this?
Let them color correct it. Absolutely. So I went to MPix. I got to go to MPix and watch them and watch their color experts working. It's really interesting. They have these rows and rows and rows and rows of just monitors. An image flies up on their screen, and they are holding it's like a mouse, but it has a red, a green, and a blue slider on it. So that's all they're going to do is adjust the RGB colors. These people are so good at it. If I made a mistake or my monitor isn't great and they're going to catch it and they're going to nail my flesh tone or whatever, absolutely. Now, if you do an image that obviously has a very blue color cast or something, like you're trying to make an artistic statement, they're smart enough to know, next, next, next. But let me tell you, they're so good at it. And their stuff is perfectly tuned to their printers and everything. I always leave it. Yeah, color correct it. If you see I made a mistake, fix it. I don't want to have to reprint it. And I've never had a situation where, now they may see mine come up and go, it's okay, and go on, or they may go, needs a little tweak. Either way, I've never had a situation where I felt I shouldn't have done it. I will tell you one other weird side story, something I was not expecting. So I'm at MPix, I'm staying in the back of the room, there's, I don't know, 80 monitors or whatever, thousands of images coming in. One thing I was not expecting, how many naked pictures come in. People sending naked pictures, and they come up on screen and they just handle it like pros, they go, and it goes. But I was not expecting that on every fourth or fifth monitor, a naked person were coming in. Sometimes you did not want to see that photo. You're just like, don't send those to a lab. Anyway, it was an eye-opening experience. All right, any more questions?
Someone's saying, is there an optimal number of hashtags?
You know, let me think here, because I want to say that I heard recently that it's now just 10. Like, don't use 20, don't use 30. I believe it's 10. I think 10 would be like, don't do more than 10. Like you can do 4, you can do 5, but I think they're saying don't do more than 10. I think that's the current thinking. By the way, it changes all the time, but right now I think it was Instagram that said you don't need more than 10. It changes, but right now I'm going with 10.
Someone did ask, do you think a Spark page replaces the need for a website?
Well, it depends. A Spark page is a photo storytelling site. What I think would be a great web page is a web page with icons that send you to all different stories. Like if you just get one page like Squarespace or something and just set up really nice, thumbnails, big thumbnails that say Nepal, Italy, France, my trip to Spain, whatever. That would be really nice to share with people. I'm not thinking you're selling images there, but remember, Spark is a photo storytelling. If you have a lot of stories to tell, it would be a great web page to lead people to all those stories.
Love it. I'm feeling inspired to go make myself a Spark page now.
You should. Everybody should have a Spark, but there's so much fun. You know what else too? I think people are surprised how easy it is. Like there's nothing to it. And by the way, if you're a Kelby One member already, because I know a lot of you are, I have a class on how to make a Spark page. I just did it fairly recently. It's on the latest version of it. It's so easy. You'll love it. You'll do one and you'll just do 100. It's that kind of thing. You'll start going back and doing stuff from years ago. Great for sharing family stories. So great for like, here's Christmas with the kids, or it's really, don't just think of it as I'm showcasing my work. It's really very nicely done.
Cool, you want to go grab some lunch?
Lunch sounds good. Panera?
Yeah.
All right. Soup's on. You guys have a really nice lunch. I will see you at 2:05, and we're going to crank back up with how to shoot people. I know that sounds bad, but you know what I mean. That's what's coming up when we come back, so we'll see you then. Thanks, Christina.